name is Hailey Hackett.
And my name is Natalie Monahan.
Welcome to Record, where we give you the latest in news, sports, and culture at Seattle U. Tonight we'll be spotlighting the captain of the Rainier Roller Girls, showing a sneak peek of our songwriter studio with Nate Lariviere, and holding a panel with the Housing Forum.
The Museum of History and Industry is presenting a panel on Tuesday, March 11th at 7 p.m. about segregation and gentrification in Seattle. The panel is called Segregated Seattle, From Redlining to Gentrification. The panel is presented in partnership with the Northwest African American Museum. Admission is $5 for museum members and $10 for general admission.
Wow, I am definitely going to go to that event. It sounds great. With the wake of gun violence in this country, identity groups such as La Casa, Mecha, MSU, ASA, and others are organizing a walkout on Wednesday, March 14th at 10 a.m. As part of the March for Our Lives movement, the groups will meet in front of Lemieux Library to hold a 17-minute silent vigil in honor of the 17 students that died in the Parkland, Florida shooting last month.
Seattle University is hosting the Food Tank Summit this Saturday, March 17th, and is giving Seattle U students the opportunity to volunteer or attend for free. The event runs from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and will feature speakers and panelists from the U.S. Congress and major tech companies from Google and Microsoft, not to mention top food journalists from around Seattle. If you're interested, learn more on Connect SU.
I am all about that food life. Yeah, as we're preparing for Dead Week, Seek is organizing a Sail Away from Finals event on Sunday, March 18th at 9 a.m. Join Seek at the Wooden Boat Center for a 45-minute guided boat tour around South Lake Union. Wave goodbye to the stress of finals by RSVPing on Connect SU.
Oscar season may be over, but don't forget to check out my YouTube exclusive coverage of all the Oscar nominees. Subscribe to our YouTube page and tell us what you think.
I binge watched every single one of your episodes, Natalie. Have you ever wondered about what it's like to be a Rainier Roller Girl? Have no fear. We went out and talked to Charlie Stone, captain of the Rainier Roller Girls, to find out.
Hi, I'm Charlie Jenna Stone, also known as Charlie Horsepower. I am one of the two captains of the Rainier Roller Girls, which is a nonprofit organization of 25 to 30 skaters and volunteers, which is really cool. And yeah, I've always been an extrovert, but I've been an extrovert with a lot of anxiety, and that anxiety has kind of manifested itself in a lot of different ways. When I was younger, I used to not be the kind of person that could, look someone in the eye and have a conversation. I used to wear my hair in my face and kind of wore clothes that would cover me up more, and didn't act as kind of vivacious and silly as I do now. And that is because I didn't want people to notice me. Roller derby made me, for the first time in my life, recognize that me being that way, me being myself, can be valued and loved and respected. Honestly, you can just see it in the way, if you look at pictures of me, before I started derby, I did not dress at all how I kind of wanted to dress. I was kind of too afraid to wear dresses and, colorful hair and tattoos and makeup. Like, I would have never worn lipstick in my life, and now that's like an every other day kind of thing. Anytime you're working on something together and trying to accomplish something together, I feel like you're automatically going to become closer with those people when you have a common goal. Honestly, I came to roller derby for the skating, but I stayed for the community and the way that it makes me feel. So that's something that I've gotten to see kind of come to fruition over the last 6 years, is us trying to be a stable nonprofit organization, trying to give back to the community, and trying to win games and practicing and working really hard. So just automatically we've already kind of built this community together. For me, there have been 3 times where the team has really come to the rescue. It was when my mom passed away suddenly, when I was diagnosed with a chronic illness and had to stop skating for a while, and then when I broke my ankle, not playing derby. I broke it at a indoor skate park after being there for 5 minutes. But it's 3 people from my team were there too, and they rode with me to the hospital and stayed with me and made sure I got home that night. Like, one of my best friends who's on the team, she came to the hospital and spent like, after I got out of surgery, the whole rest of the day with me, you know, and then a bunch of people visited me. The team put together kind of money for me to be able to go grocery shopping, so I knew I wouldn't be able to work for a while. Multiple people on the team took me to my doctor's appointments. Our team photographer drove me around because I couldn't drive anymore. Like, they've just really come to the rescue for me so many times. And I think it's because we've all seen each other at kind of our best and our worst. I had never been part of such like a wonderful community of like powerful women doing something before. On small scales I had been, like at other past jobs or organizations I had volunteered with, but not in a like, here's the sport, there are thousands of teams all over the world full of women all doing something really badass together and raising thousands of dollars for charities and sweating together and crying together and, you know, kind of going through life together. So there's that. And then on the other level, something that's a little bit different about my team is that right now what you're seeing is roller derby go a little bit more towards wanting to be a little bit more sporty looking. So you'll see a lot of teams not wear skirts anymore, not really do fishnets anymore, not do face paint, do really kind of standard jersey looking jerseys. And I think honestly that has a lot to do with this idea of women's sports not being taken seriously and a kind of step to try to make it a more serious sport. What my team has done is that we are like, we can be really sporty but also be as glittery, sequined as we want to. We think that that has nothing to do with like us being serious athletes, and our team really cares about harboring that space where you can really reflect who you are as a person. And so for me that's really special, because where else can I wear like glitter all over my face and skate around with pom-poms and a cheer skirt and fishnets? Like, that's super fun. I wish I could do that all the time. They can come out to see us play. Our next game is March 24th, and then we have a game April 21st. They can go to rainierrollergirls.com to see our kind of full schedule and see how to get in contact if they want to volunteer, they want to donate. We're always looking for volunteers. One of the best ways to see if you'd be interested in reffing or even just learning how to roller skate is coming to a game. Highly recommend it. That's kind of how I got the, you know, got the bite, I guess. I don't like saying that though, because I have a chronic illness from a bug bite, so saying I got the bite, like, kind of weird. Yeah, but then go to rainierrollergirls.com or find us on Facebook. We're very, very active on Facebook and Instagram. Or they can find me on campus. I have purple hair and I laugh really loudly. So if you see me, come ask me about roller derby.
Here's a quick update on our local SU sports teams.
Our men's basketball team fought a tough game against the top-seeded New Mexico State, and it ended up in a last-minute nail-biter. Let's check out some highlights.
I think both teams made the Western Athletic Conference proud. What a great basketball game. It took two just amazing individual efforts from Jamario Jones, who I think is a total class act, 22 rebounds. And then Zach Lofton, who's a very special player, probably an NBA player with 31 points. So you get down there, you know, it's a three-point game with 31 seconds to go. And the guy got 22 rebounds and the guy got 31 points. You know, one of the 50 best teams in the country, right to the wire, in a big environment like that. Just couldn't be more proud of our guys. We took care of the ball against pressure, only 8 turnovers. These two seniors for me both scored 23 points. I thought it was just an amazing performance by Josh.
3-point ball, number 2.
Shot!
Strong at the 3.
Oh yeah!
Doing work, number
Shot! Shot!
3-point ball.
Means.
Oh, beats the ball!
Well, unfortunately, our Redhawks suffered an 84-79 loss. Their season's not over yet, though, because our Ballers have accepted an invitation to the 2018 College Basketball Invitational. You can check out the first game against Central Arkansas of this tournament this Wednesday, March 14th at 7 p.m.
Go Redhawks.
Go Redhawks.
The women's softball team had a few games this past week, sweeping 2 home games against the University of Toledo and losing 2 away games against Oregon State and Texas Tech. Madison Cathcart dominated throughout the last week, battling over 506 games, earning her second WAC Hitter of the Week. Congratulations, Madison.
Congrats. And some exciting news for you right here, Redhawks, and some more broken records. For the first time in program history, our women's basketball team is heading to the NCAA tournament after beating CSU Bakersfield 57-54 in the WAC championship game. These Redhawks are on their way to the big dance to play the University of Oregon this Friday at 4:30 p.m. Let's take a look at their most recent game, along with some nice words from Father Sondborg.
Just short at the buzzer. And Seattle U hanging on. Look at the celebration as they are going dancing for the first time in program history. You see the emotions, tears of joy on one end and tears of what could have been on the other. Cal State University Bakersfield leaving it all on the line.
Sometimes a picture's worth 1,000 words. You could see everything play out right there. The joy of victory, the disappointment of loss, and the opportunity for tomorrow that the Redhawks realized today.
Congratulations to our women's basketball team on winning the Western Athletic Conference Championship and advancing to the program's first ever NCAA tournament. Go Redhawks!
We were honored to have Nate Lariviere join us on Songwriter Studio this past Sunday. Here's a song from his set.
So this next song is like the first song that I ever wrote, and I wrote it a couple years ago, and it's called Twin Bed. I feel like a few people have heard it. Just a little plug before you hear it. Just, you know, if you like it afterwards, you can go check it out. iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music, all that, and SU Radio now too. So check it out. Lay me down on your little twin bed underneath the Beatles poster. Just lay me down, holding to you tight, girl. We were never closer. Won't you lay me down? Go and take the weight of the world off of your shoulders. Your love's a guitar that never goes out of tune. When I see you, there's nobody else in the room. Whoa, 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 whoa. There's something about the way your brown eyes look at mine. Yeah, they look so deeply. Oh, there's something about riding through the summer nights, only you there with me. Oh, you know that now. There's no need to worry about me, baby. Trust in my love now. Trust in my love now. because you take me back to how it was before when we were on top of the world. Oh, won't you let me go, baby, hold me closer, stay with me forever. Oh, your love's a guitar that never goes out of tune. When I see you, there's nobody else in the room. Whoa, 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 whoa. Mm, 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 mm.
Thank you. All right, so the last song that I'm writing is the last song that I'll be performing, rather, is just a song that I just finished like earlier this week, and it's something that I kind of like started writing, it was like a year ago now, and just kind of put it away for a really long time because I kind of like got to this part, got crazy writer's block, and I was like, screw it, like I'll just leave it for another day, and then yeah. I guess today's that day, so.
For in the morning, city lights burn low, my thoughts parading out in the street. Can't keep them in my head, though I've tried before. Hard enough getting back up on my feet. And I wanna ride like fate, diving into that ocean, living life so free, making sense of emotion. Oh, ooh, ooh, oh, oh. Got some days that I feel like cracking under the pressure or the weight of the world. Won't somebody come show me the right direction? My God, like nobody knows. Oh, I wanna ride like fame, diving into that ocean, living life so free, making sense of emotion. Oh, ooh, oh, ooh, oh, oh. Oh, I've been chasing a dream that can't come to life no more. Yeah, I've been stuck in the past since you walked out that door. And I'll just write these songs and hope that you'll give me a chance once more. And I wanna ride like flames out into that ocean, living life so free, making sense of emotion. Oh,
There you go.
Remember, the full version will be on YouTube in the next few days, and if you can't wait, you can listen to Twin Bed on Spotify. But now I'm joined by Anne-Marie Zaki, a double major in History and Women and Gender Studies, Ash Joyce, a pre-major focusing in Sociology, and our very own crew member, Cody Ireland, who is studying English and Creative Writing. So to give some context, during this past quarter, RHA, the Gender Justice Center, Cutie Pock, and Triangle Club came together to create and establish gender-inclusive housing on SU's campus. But in order to best shape the policy, they turned to the student body first. The groups created a Google form for students to submit questions to anonymously. These questions were discussed at the Housing Forum on February 21st, which is what we'll be discussing. Awesome. So who went to the Housing Forum?
I did. Two of us. Yep.
Awesome. So what exactly went on there?
Well, we basically created the forum just for students to understand what we're trying to do, as well as give their input. We had a PowerPoint with examples from other universities of what they've done, what they've implemented, and then we took questions, read questions from the Google form. We also had Tim Alberts, who is from housing, to explain anything that we were uninformed or said incorrectly.
Yeah, so what are the gender-inclusive options right now at SU, or are there absolutely none?
There is currently no policy. There are no guidelines for gender-inclusive housing. It is taken case by case. And because of this, there are a lot of issues that come up.
So what does that process look like? Have any of you gone through that process?
I kind of went through, the way that process works is it's kind of a backdoor situation where you talk to somebody who knows somebody else who can talk to somebody else who can talk to somebody else.
Where do you start?
I personally started with the residence director in my building, and they got me in touch with a couple of other people in the housing and residence life, and then it was like a temporary process in the system where they just changed my gender marker for 24 hours, and then that's when I signed up for housing, and then they got me situated in there, and then they just switched it back. But it's just, there was no permanent way for like the housing system to like make sure that it didn't bump me out of the situation that I was put in for the next housing year. So
wow. So what is kind of the vision for what gender inclusive housing will look like in the future? What was the push at the forum?
So there are two big pieces that I think we're specifically looking at for creating better gender inclusive housing. One would be having better accessibility. Right now, there are a lot of students that are isolated, trans and gender nonconforming students who don't know who to talk to because it's difficult to find out who to talk to, and no one is able to be in communication with any other students that are going through the same process. As well as this, it's just really difficult to get a hold of anybody. And the second piece is having a set of rules and guidelines, because taking it case by case makes it so some people get really good options and other people get the worst possible option. So having guidelines to have a more secure and more constant plan for how gender inclusive housing works for students is what we're trying to plan here for policy.
Absolutely. And do you know how this acts in other universities by chance?
There are a few other ways in which gender inclusive housing works on other campuses. We're specifically trying to work with the aspect of being at a Catholic university as well as being in a small university. So there are universities that have like whole floors that are for gender inclusive housing, and like U of O does something along those lines, but that's a little difficult when you have such a small school. So we've also looked at creating for the SU website, when you go into housing, for you to be able to go through a process when signing up that can follow the guidelines we create in policy so you can have housing that works for you.
Awesome. So you two both went to the forum. Ash, tell me, what were some of the biggest points that were discussed at the forum?
I think some of the biggest points were like the fears that if there were gender neutral housing, gender inclusive housing, that those students would be targeted because we are a minority as we are, and so putting us into a special floor or a special space could be detrimental to us because we could be targeted. And I think another really good point was the idea that we also have to have gender neutral bathroom. I know it's not part of the gender inclusive housing, but it does tie hand in hand with the bathroom policies, because having students on floors in like, say, Campion that are gender nonconforming, they don't have gender-neutral bathrooms there, so it wouldn't make sense to put someone gender nonconforming in Campion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does gender-inclusive housing policies look like having certain rooms that are gender-inclusive friendly? Does it look like possibly having multiple different floors in multiple different buildings? What is kind of the end goal coming from y'all's experiences?
I think the possible end goal and like hopeful end goal is to have students be able to have gender nonconforming students be able to talk to other gender nonconforming students, meet each other if they want to room together, and be able to go through the housing process through Seattle University, and be able to find it. This is not like for a specific floor or any like, this is like just through anywhere. You can be in any dorm, but you can be in a room and be with someone or someone's that fits your gender identity.
Definitely. And is administration giving y'all pushback? I mean, why has this not happened yet?
So there was a gender inclusive housing policy that was put forward last year, but it wasn't there wasn't any follow through, and it didn't end up working. I'm not sure exactly on the specifics of that, but there have been run-ins with administration where we've had trouble getting our point across due to sometimes some cliche arguments that people use.
What kind of cliche arguments?
Like, if we have gender inclusive housing, someone's going to just house with their partner. But that really brushes over the point. Number one, that invalidates queer relationships. So 2 girls could be in a room and be dating each other, and they're doing that. 2 guys could be in a room and dating each other and do that. And sex happens on campus. So that's not the point. The point is it's taking away from the fact that now that using that argument takes away housing from students who absolutely need this for safety and comfortability.
Absolutely. Is there anything students can do that don't relate to needing gender inclusive housing, but that can support you all in that fight?
Definitely. The way that, again, we're hoping to set up this policy is within the housing form have it basically like a button of I need gender inclusive housing, I want gender inclusive housing, I don't want gender inclusive housing.
Gotcha. So
being like I want gender inclusive housing can be being an ally or being another queer person who is not gender non-conforming, who has no issue with rooming with a gender non-conforming student. And as well as this, there is a survey that we are hoping to send out within the next week that will be asking questions about gender inclusive housing and what we're asking for. So the more people, gender nonconforming and cis, that are answering the survey, the better we have of getting this policy pushed forward.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us today and telling us all about what happened at the forum and what needs to be done. We really appreciate it. So thanks for joining us for another episode of Record. With Dead Week in sight and spring break so close, we won't see you again until the beginning of spring quarter, but you can keep up with us on our YouTube page and other social media accounts. And if you are interested in becoming part of the Redhawk Entertainment Network, be sure to message us on Facebook. And if you see anything that is newsworthy, tag us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at Record Seattle U. Well, we'll see you next time, y'all.